Hi everybody, today I'm going to show you a pretty easy way to measure the frame for your patio screen door. One method is you can definitely measure the screen door if there's an existing one, but most often there's not an existing one, and you have to measure from the top of the bottom track to the bottom of the top track, and I'm going to show you that right now. Don't worry about subscriptions or likes or anything, but I'll try to answer any comments that you have. So let's get right into it. And first thing is you want a good measuring tape. Let me just show you. Okay, so here's a range of 7 tapes, measuring tapes. They will all measure. There's not one that's better. You might have a preference, but a couple things to look for. On the smaller ones, in my opinion, they're a bit flimsy. They might fall over. They're a bit too small to see. Definitely you want to look at what's here, the plus. This one says plus 2 3/8 of an inch. You're going to make note of that. This one says plus 3 1/2 inches. This one says plus 3 1/8. You see how they're all different? This one doesn't have anything. So what do you do there? Well, there is a way. Now, if you have another measuring tape, you can definitely measure this bottom, because that's what you need. You want to measure this bottom here. Or you can do this. Simply turn the tape over, put it to the end, and I'd say that's, put it down, I'd say that is 3 inches. Or again, you could do this. This isn't the best one to use, so I wouldn't use that one. I do have my favorites. This one for me is pretty good. This one is pretty good. This is my go-to. This one here is a little bit too big. This one says plus 4 1/2 inches. It's a little bit too big for me, because you want to make sure that you can lock it. What do I mean by that? Well, when you put this out a bit, let's say, I don't know, 3 4 inches, and you press a button, it's going to stay there. Okay, so when you measure your opening for your screen door, you don't need 2 people. All you need is yourself and a decent measuring tape. Okay, so let's use this one. I'll put that down, and now we look at our opening. Okay, this is a pretty standard opening. There is a door there now. Let me just show you a couple of things. There's the rail or the track that's on the bottom. For different people, it'll look a little bit different. This one is quite high, maybe more than 1/4 inch, maybe 3/8 of an inch, and it doesn't go all the way. That's not a big concern, because the wheel's going to stop about there anyway. So sometimes it goes all the way to the end, sometimes it doesn't. Okay, so here's my measuring tape right here. Now I'm going to put it up just a little bit, and I'm going to lock it. Okay, so see, I'm still doing this one hand. And then you want to put your measuring tape right on top of the bottom rail. Remember to make note of this one is plus 3 inches. Okay, I think you can see it there. So make note of that on a piece of paper, plus 3 inches. Okay, you set your measuring tape like that. You don't want to set it over here, because that would be skewing your measurement. You're down about 1/4 of an inch. You could add if you wanted to, but I like to put it right there, okay? So even if your rail goes all the way to the end, you can put your foot up against it, and I'm just gonna put my foot and you can, so it's locked, so it's gonna stay there. All the way up, all the way up. And you want to go right to the bottom of the top rail, okay? This one does have a rail. Some doors do not have a top rail. They just have a U-channel. If that's the case, don't go all the way up to the top like that. Leave about 1/4 inch space because you don't want to be too tight. Okay, but this one has a top rail. Let's see if I can balance this properly. Okay, so now remember, this should be sitting on top of here. It's just a little bit, there we go. So that's sitting right on top of the rail. I can even let it go if your tape measure is pretty good, and you can get a reading from this. So I look at my reading, it says 74.5, maybe 74 and 5/8. But I need to add 3 inches to that, right? So my height would be 77.5, 77 and 5/8. And you could do it a couple of times, okay? That's the hard part, to do the height. The width is fairly easy. Again, I'm doing this one-handed, sorry. And you want to put the measuring tape kind of inside there, not all the way, just about right there, okay? And then how far you want to go over, this is up for a little bit of debate. Some people say the middle of that piece right there, or some people say right about right here, because sometimes the weather stripping pushes on the door and it's a little bit too tight. So if I go like that, I'm about, I'd say I'd be okay with 32, I'd be okay with 31, I'd be okay with 30. Anywhere from 30 to 32 should be fine. You don't want it way over here, and you don't want it too short either. So those are the basics of how to measure your opening. Hope you like it. Leave comments if you want to. And like I said, you could measure an existing door if you wanted to. There are some drawbacks for that. I would do both strategies just to get an accurate measurement. Okay, thanks a lot. Bye-bye.